You guys can't see all my little cue cards, right?
Hello and welcome to the Catch a Lift Coaches Corner. I am CAL lead coach Melissa, and this week I am so honored to welcome back to the show retired U.S. Marine Carnell Martin. Carnell's a retired U.S. Marine, Camp Pendleton Athlete of the Year 2 times, and CAL coach. Welcome to this week's episode of the Coaches Corner. Carnell, welcome. Welcome back to the Coaches Corner.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be back and representing Cal coaches again. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, it's our honor to have you. Thank you again for being here with us. I want to invite our audience also, when you're done listening to today's show, go back and check out episode 2 of the Coaches Corner, and you can hear a little bit more of Carnell's story. But all right, Carnell, I know we have a lot of stuff we want to jump through today. Why don't we start by you just giving us a little bit of a competition bio of yourself?
Like Melissa said, 2-time Camp Pendleton Athlete of the Year. That was when I was active duty. My first Athlete of the Year came when I was 21 years old, 3 years in the Marine Corps. And then my second Athlete of the Year came when I was 40 years old in the Marine Corps. 2-time Warrior Game gold medalist, 1-time Endeavor Games gold medalist, and just recently I was selected to the U.S. Invictus team.
Oh, that is so awesome. Thank you, Carnell, for sharing that with us. It's just terrific. I want to take a minute. Today we're going to be talking a lot about, preparing for competition, what that looks like mentally and physically. But before we do that, I want to ask you a bit about this Camp Pendleton Athlete of the Year honor that you hold 2 different, titles to twice. Can you tell us a little bit what that is and what that entailed, and out of how many athletes that even was?
Well, first of all, you're representing the Marine Corps. You're representing your base. So my base held over 4,000 athletes.
Oh my gosh.
And with that, each base throughout the continental U.S. and one base overseas represent one athlete of that base to be represented as the Athlete of the Year for the whole Marine Corps. So my sports included anywhere from arm wrestling to tackle football to track and field to basketball to baseball, and it was all combined to represent the winning Athlete of the Year award.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Congratulations on that, Carnell. What an accomplishment to have. That's just phenomenal. So, as we've kind of alluded to, we're going to be talking today about competition. What does it take to compete mentally, physically? How do you prepare for that? And, it was interesting when we were discussing this episode beforehand and what we wanted to talk about. The central focus that you kept bringing up was physical and mental preparedness. So I want to dive in there and start. But I do want to kind of touch on first a little bit. Carnell, you're a warrior. You're a seasoned competitor, and you can be as physically and mentally prepared as a person can be. And COVID hit in 2020, right? So I want to start there with you. How did COVID change your outlook on this year, your competitions, and just kind of what did it bring into the mix for you?
When COVID hit, we were just getting ready to go into training for 2020 Invictus Games. And Melissa, being a competitor athlete, when you turn it on, you're ready, and that gun fire, and you're ready to cross that line, it's game time.
Yeah.
And when COVID hit, that gun didn't go off. We were held back at the starting line.
Yeah.
But being mentally prepared and being the Marine that I am, it was an obstacle. So I had to get around that obstacle. So I trained and prepared just like I was gonna go to those games.
Yeah.
And I used what I, all the gyms were closed, and I adapted and overcame. I created exercises. I had what I had in my garage, and I made it happen. I stayed ready,
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah. So you told me that, you can be the world's strongest athlete, but where is your head at? Um, would you talk to us a bit about this?
Yes, that's a good question. When I was younger, I wish I would have learned this when I was younger. The mental toughness. Don't get me wrong. As a kid growing up in South Central LA, you have to be mentally tough. Um, but once you got into sports, you know, where do that physical aspect can only take you so far? Where's
Yeah.
that mental aspect come in? And you know, as I was growing up, I just remembered, those days growing up. You know, my mom would, for example, I got into a fight and I came back home crying. My mom was like, "Hey, what's wrong with you, boy? Well, I just got in a fight. She's like, you better get back out there, or I'm gonna beat you up."
Oh my
So,
gosh.
well,
Yeah.
she said a little worse than that. Uh, so I went back out there and I handled my business. But and then from there, just um, being an athlete, I had to learn what that mental toughness was, and it started at an early age. Um, so it does take you over that next hump as an athlete.
It really does. And it's interesting because we can really broaden that too, Carnell, literally as broad as we want to make it. I've seen, you know, mental strength in my own life, and it's what pushed me through, my time in the service, my deployment to Iraq. It pushes me through my day-to-day life now. And um it's definitely if you can kind of hone in on that mental strength, you're definitely you're going to fare a little better.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
definitely true.
So as we both know, when you're competing, you get in there and sometimes it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. you know Maybe you're in a weightlifting competition or you're playing football and you find yourself kind of in a hole, or it seems like you're behind. you know um, can you talk to us a little bit about the you're still in the game mentality, as long as that clock's still ticking, as long as there's still time? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So I always go back when I'm in situations like that. When I'm in a mindset of, I'm tired. I can't do this. You know, I always go back to the toughest moments of my life. You know, I look back at some of the toughest moments as a Marine with cold weather training.
Yeah.
We had to dig, you know, snow caves and sleep in like 50 to below degree weather, and try to survive that. So I always try to put myself in the worst situation. Um, when I'm in a bad situation, I try to put myself in a situation where I was really at my downest, and I came out and I conquered and I persevered and got through it. So pushing through the tough times, um, always going back to when it was tougher. You've been
Yeah.
there before. You can do this. You get through this.
Yeah.
Those
No,
are
absolutely. Talk to me about the value of surrounding yourself with like-minded people, or people maybe not even like-minded, maybe they're, a step ahead of you or a couple steps ahead of you in the game, but what does that do for a person? Who you hang out with, who you look up to, who you surround yourself with.
it definitely it builds confidence. It builds that mental toughness. You want to be like that person. That person started to from where you were at to where he's at now. You're like, if he can do it, I can do it. That's anything in life. You can be in a Fortune 500 company, and you can be at that desk sitting next to that CEO. How did he get here? What step did he take? I want to take the steps he took. You know, you, if you're trying to reach for the stars, you're not going to stay down, you know, down the rain
Yeah.
gutter. You want to reach, you want to reach the moon. You want to get on that next space shuttle to get to the get to that peak. So definitely surrounding yourself with like self-minded people
Yeah.
is definitely a key. You know, but never forget where you came from, though. That's
Yeah.
the key too. Always giving back. Never get to a point where you think you're so high, you can't come down.
Yeah. Let's we've got a couple of really good pictures of you, Carnell, with the San Diego Chargers. Let's have Henry put those up right now and talk to us a little bit about that Carnell. What's going on there?
I can't see the one you have up, but
All you guys sitting together.
sitting together. Yeah. Oh, that was an awesome day. Growing up, my number one sport was football. It was getting a little emotional talking about it because it was one of the sports that really kickstarted my athletic career. It was growing up in South Central. You were either going to jail or you were going to die, and I found football. So being with those guys that day, um, wow, being with those guys that day really pedestal my career in competition. We talked about surrounding yourself with the best. You know,
Yeah.
to me, those guys are the best. To me, that really got to me. They like, no, you guys are the best. They
Yeah.
like, you know, what the service members did. They were more intrigued in what I did than me
Yeah.
intrigued in what they did. So that made a big difference, moving forward. So
That's
yeah,
terrific.
that was good. And then I had the opportunity after that. They knew I played football to be invited to some of their practice. So I got to not only meet these guys, but pick their brain and pick their mentality, pick their mental strength and toughness. And we were just sharing information back and forth. I'm like,
Yeah.
next time I go play football, this is gonna be easy. I went back and I was just destroying the competition. So yeah, surround yourself with the like-minded people and prepare yourself mentally and physical toughness. Is
Yeah.
definitely the way to go. So yeah,
Carnell, I'm going to ask you just to speak up just a little bit. Mike's kind of cut. No, you're good. Just a little
okay.
more. Um, so I want to just take a moment here too before we go forward to I want to talk to you a little bit more about the individual sports. You've competed in a broad range of athletics. What is your favorite, Carnell? Like what if you've only got one more thing for life that
Right,
you
right.
can compete in, what is it, Carnell?
Man, that's a tough question, Melissa. I'm a competitor. I
Yeah.
mean,
Just get you on the field, get you on
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Get you in the arena.
I would have said football. I was good for my size, uh, but not big enough to take it. Professional. But I made it my point to find those professionals
Yeah.
and pick their brains. So man, competition. You know, but I would say right now powerlifting is my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep, keeping everything ground level. You know, it's brutal, but it's not. You're not going full speed hitting small
Oh
Volkswagens
my gosh, right?
at 20 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
so I take that for right now, as long as I can still continue to compete and help others. So yeah.
Yeah. So, Carnell, I want to talk to you about competing, as you age and progress through your life. I think there's a misconception by a lot of people that, once you get out of high school, once you get out of college, or maybe even the couple years after college, your early 20s, your competitive career is older, like, shoot, I didn't make it pro, whatever it may be. And
Right.
people just kind of start to think, and maybe not intentionally, but they see that kind of that part of their life go away. But we both know that, kind of once a competitor, always a competitor, it continues to burn in your belly. What are your thoughts, or what can you tell us about finding ways to continue to compete, as you age and even, get older into like a master's age and level?
Wow. That's an outstanding question, Melissa. I think early on, I tell my kids, I tell other athletes, it's how you take care of your body. Not only your body, but your mind, your spirit. Uh, and that's the way it's going to carry with you and take care of you as you age. Um, but as long as you have the, the physical and mental capability to compete, age is unlimited.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, you talk about the senior competition.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that the resources for one, and find what you love to do and compete it. I mean, it can be, you know, whatever sport you want to compete in. If it's a competition, if it's
Yeah.
a board game, if it's cards, if it's walking, get the local group or the walking club. I mean, competition. It just drives the soul. It's to me it's what keeps me alive.
Yeah.
Competition, because I grew up competing. You know, at a young age, and I seen what it can do to a young man. I mean, not only shape you and mold you, but give you directions, give you responsibilities. Make you a leader. You know,
Yeah.
it's the whole body of competition. You know,
Yeah.
and to still be able to do it at a young age, but older than some, it's an honor,
Yeah.
because you know there's we all know there's soldiers and Marines who's not here to be able to do that. We get to do this.
Yeah.
Get up and move. Stop feeling pity for yourself. If you were a competitor, if you competed, if you didn't compete, you used to exercise or you used to be uh, physical. Get up. You can
Yeah.
do it. Stop making excuses. Well, there's no, I'm too old, or I'm
Yeah.
broke, or I'm hurt. It's no excuse.
Yeah.
Get up and compete, man. Get up and compete for yourself. If you're not competing for a team, compete for your life.
I like that. Compete for your life.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Like I competed in high school, really enjoyed that, and, went into the service right from high school. And, when I got home from Iraq in December 2005, honestly, gave up on myself there for a period of time, right? Or I just, gave up on myself, or I didn't see opportunities out there. I certainly didn't see myself, 10, 15 years later being a competitive athlete again.
Right.
Uh, but I was able to kind of harness a couple different things you talked about. Number one, I found a passion. I found a passion in the sport of strongman. And then, I started, competing it was for myself. I want this. I want more out of my life. I know,
Right.
I've got this drive in me,
I got. I got.
to be better, do better. Um, but there really is something for everybody, and, regardless of the type of competition it is. And even, like you said, just get up and move. Maybe you're just competing with yourself. How many steps did I walk this week? Well, next week I'm going to beat that number, you know? And
Right.
so I think, there absolutely is a way for everybody to compete, even if you're unable at the current time to physically go in an arena like that. I would
Right.
certainly, encourage people to do that. Um, So you've been doing some interesting stuff this fall, winter, Carnell. You've been doing some virtual competitions. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? And let me just throw out there too, because I know that you're modest. Not only have you been doing virtual competitions, but you've been crushing them. So talk to us about that experience.
Oh man, yeah. With the Invictus game coming up, we started some virtual competition against our foes across the world. We had a competition against Ukraine in powerlifting, and yeah, from COVID to now doing virtual competition. When I say stay ready, that's what I mean about stay
Yeah,
ready, because this competition came from nowhere, and I was able to place in third place,
that's awesome.
and represent the U.S. We came in first, second, and third against the Ukraine. So the U.S. took first, second, and third, and powerlifted. And then a week after that, we did indoor rowing, and I crushed that too. So um, it's just an honor, just a blessing to still be able to compete at any level. And
Yeah.
and when I'm competing, it's just all mentally focused and preparing and staying ready for the opportunity.
Congratulations again on that. And what a phenomenal blessing in life to be able to still, serve under that banner and represent your country. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just so freaking cool. I love it. Oh my gosh.
it's an honor.
So, Carnell, as we sit here today, what would you say it is that drives you most?
I would say what drives me the most is life. Uh, yeah,
So the body comes under a great deal of strain,
right.
you know, physically, emotionally during this time. Um,
When
you
when I
know,
when I say life is because after 30 years in the Marine Corps, uh, three different wars, six combat tours.
it's a lot.
You don't get this opportunity.
Yeah.
So get up, freaking compete.
Yeah.
Stop making excuses. And that's what I do every day. Get up,
Compete to
compete,
live.
and no excuses.
Yeah.
Um, I get so emotional. People like, man, stop crying all the time.
Oh my gosh, no.
It's it's tears of sweat, pain,
Yeah.
preparation, competition, just a whole walk of life. From growing up to where I'm at now, to be
Yeah.
able to give back, to be able to coach and train other athletes. Man, God is good. God is
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to touch on, well, not touch on, I want to talk to you about the physical and mental aspect, about what competition prep, does to a person or kind of can do to a person. And, you and I talked a bit about, you walk a fine line between, you know, training and your readiness, both physically and mentally, and burnout, right?
right.
um, because some people, they get back in the arena and they'll be super competitive, 1, 3, 5 years, but either physically, mentally, the whole package, they just kind of break down and they veer away from it very quickly. How have you been able, Carnell, to stay ready, physically, mentally, and not burn out, especially during a pandemic year and just all that 2020 has brought to life?
Man, just keeping my training interesting. I cycle. I, I throw disc. I throw shot put. I run. I lift. Um, just keeping it interesting, a stretch, visualization. I just try to take the whole concept of what an athlete supposed to be, and what um, an athlete, you know, put his body through. What am I training for? Should I be doing this right now, or should I be, lifting 500 pounds when I'm gonna go run a 100-yard dash? You know, so I try to stagger my training according to what the mission is, per
Yeah.
se. So there, you talk about burnout. So I'm not overtraining my chest or arms for the next lift, or I'm not overtraining, my legs for the next run. So I try to keep it interesting. I try to stagger and diversify my training, and then uh, that way, working out, it can get bored. It could be, routine, but
Yep.
you want to mix you want to tell the mind, no, I'm not doing this today. I'm going to go over to the left. You want me to go right? No, I already see what you're trying to do. You're not Jedi mind tricking me today. So
Yeah.
I do that reverse Jedi mind trick on them.
I like it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about visualization, Carnell. What does this look like for you, or how do you apply it into your training and your life?
Wow. Mentally preparedness, from what I seen and observed, I mean, different athletes have different ways of preparing. You can visual it, you can feel it, you can listen to it. Uh, uh, Visualization to me is it's seeing the moment before it happened. Meaning that if I'm going to play a football game, I'm going to, you know, while everyone else running around doing jump jacks, whatever, I'm sitting in my corner visualizing when that running back comes through the hole, how I'm going to hit him, what angle, and what impact. If he's leaning to the right, am I going to, you know, hit him to his weak side? Visualizing, his weakness. So I'm taking a whole visualization. Uh, I'm learning about my enemy. You're not going to go into combat and you're not going to study your enemy. You're not going to visualize that, you're not going to not practice that raid, right? It's nothing more. Visualization is all about you visualizing what you're going to do at the objective.
Absolutely.
So when I get to the objective, I already been there. I already know what door to kick in. I already know I already know who to take down. So, but that's my visualization. That's what
Yeah.
uh, part of my preparedness and preparation I take into every meet or every contest. I look for the weakness. I look for your vulnerability, and I attack from there.
Yeah. So let's fast forward, to game day, competition day, meet day, whatever it may be, but it's go time. What does that look like for you, Carnell? How do you handle that day? How do you, just kind of the whole experience, the crowd or the noise, or just, other athletes next to you bumping into you? Like, what does that day actually look like for you? Where are you at mentally during this time?
Well, that day didn't start that day.
There we go. That's the key, right?
Yeah, that day started
Mic
about
check.
2 days
Yeah.
ago.
Oof.
Yep.
Oof to Carnell. Yeah. Yeah.
So once I get there, I already been there.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't see the crowd. Uh, for example, on that photo, uh, it was over 30,000 people in the crowd. I didn't see anyone. I just seen the front row. That's it. Uh, that's how focused I was, and that was after uh, my PR, my personal record. Uh, on the bench press. So when I go into a competition, um, I already been in the arena. I already seen the crowd. I already know uh, what that lift is going to look like, how it's going to feel, uh, how my uniform is going to fit. My whole preparation has already been done. Um, so that that preparation started 2 days ago, and when I get there, it's just a familiarity of the movement. That's all that is.
Yeah. It was really interesting, Carnell. My first competition as an adult, like in my life now, it was a strongman competition at the Phoenix Europa a couple years ago.
Right.
And
I remember that. Remember you were there.
yeah, oh my gosh, it was an incredible experience for a lot of reasons, but something that I still remember. Um, there was it was like a max weight deadlift, so we're deadlifting and they keep putting on weight and whatnot. And I hit a PR for myself that day and, you know, came off the mat where I was lifting. And, I was blessed. Lynn Coughlin was there that day to see it. And she said something about how loud the crowd was when I was out there. She's like, wasn't that amazing type of thing. And I'm like, I kind of looked around and, I was really amped up, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's a crowd here. There was noise. Like I didn't hear any of it.
Right.
And
Right.
it was the craziest feeling. Um, so I definitely know what you're talking about there. But when you experience it, it's like, wow, you're just, you're in a completely different world or different dimension. And
Different dimension.
it's
Exactly.
crazy.
It is. It is. Uh, it's a feeling that you want in.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I want this again. I can do more. Let's go. So
Yeah. So I want to ask you about that too, Carnell, because, and again, you've been doing this for so very many years at a very high level. And something that you touched on with me before the show was, get to a point you asked the question, what more do I have to prove? Can you talk to us a little bit about that and kind of working through that?
you know, personally, I don't have anything to prove, but outward, I have a lot to prove. I have veterans to coach, mentoring individuals. So not only I'm not proving anything to me, not proving anything to anybody else, but I'm showing them that with hard work, uh, dedication, um, mental preparedness, uh, this is what this is what can happen. This could be you. Uh,
Yeah.
so far as a personal prove it to myself, no, I have nothing to prove. But if it's helping others, I have a lot to prove.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to take a minute here, Carnell. We've got a couple questions that are just terrific questions that I want to ask you from viewers right now. So Kiki asks, how do you stay motivated and why is it important to stay motivated?
How do I stay motivated? I stay motivated because of a purpose. You got to have a purpose. You got to have something to what drives you, um, even if it's one thing. Because we all know there's a million things that can distract us
Yeah.
and and, and, and get our mindset off off the beaten path. Uh, but find that one thing that motivates you, that you live for every day, that you can't live without. Uh, if it's a child, if it's a you know a parent, if it's whatever that is, that's your motivation, that's your drive, that's your focus, That's your mental toughness right there. That's what's going to get you through that next hump, that next day, and just build on that. Keep building on that, and next thing you know, you're you're already in competition mode. One day at a time. That positive influence that motivates you, that loves you, that supports you, and if you're a praying person, uh, pray, and whatever your God is, it's always there for you. So
Yeah.
that's your motivation, and
Thanks,
that's
Carnell.
and that's what keeps me motivated. Just because I get up and I can do this, where I know others that's not here with us
Yeah.
any longer can't do this, and that's a motivation factor also.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Julian Torres sends you out a question to Carnell. Julian
Big
wants to know, Big Dog wants to know,
big dog.
he wants to know, how do you deal with naysayers?
Naysayers are going to be naysayers. There's nothing you can do about them.
Yeah.
So you ignore them. You stay focused on the mission. Um, I believe it or not, I was not always a good athlete, and people were saying, you're not going to amount to an athlete. You're too short. You're not big enough. You this and that. You don't have the means to go to the big schools and and this and that. I, okay, watch me.
Yeah.
So those naysayers, big dog are gonna be naysayers, and then eventually they're gonna wash away while you're rising to the top of the cream and taking over Mount Rushmore one day. So
Yeah.
and looking down on those naysayers. That's what I say to the naysayers, big dog.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. And if I could just throw in my 2 cents there too, something that I've always found is that, and I mean, what you just said to Carnell, it's like you can outlast them. You can outlast any naysayer, right? Because you keep putting that work in and day out, month by month, year by year by year, you know, they
Yeah,
fall to the wayside,
yeah,
you know?
don't stop you, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Totally.
they naysayers, but your mindset has already washed them out. Man. You're already mentally focused on
Yeah.
on the objective. While they still talking, you're still moving up the chain. Man. So
Absolutely. So, Carnell, want to congratulate you again for making it to the Invictus Games. I mean, what an incredible honor. And I want to ask you a little bit about that because there's probably a section of our audience that doesn't know what the Invictus Games are and all that entails. Um, can you tell us what the Invictus Games are, how you qualify, a bit about them?
well, first of all, Invictus Game was created by Prince Harry over in the UK. It was his foundation that he wanted a Paralympic style event for the wounded warriors coming back from combat. So he took that on as his his nonprofit or his organization. Um, so what it entails combat allied units from around the world. UK, Australia, Germany, all our allies. Their combat wounded competes against the U.S. Well, the U.S. compete against the whole world basically. Um, so within the Victor's game, you're selected from the Warrior Games. It's a stepping stone. I started with intramural sport. I started with Warrior Games, now Invictus, and then the next step after that is the Paralympic team, which is up there, but it's a goal of mine.
Yeah.
I always tackle the little ones, and I'm looking
Yep.
for the big ones. So who knows? So within that, the Invictus Games consist of all the services combined represent one U.S. team competing against the world. With the Warrior Games, it's individual uh, military units competing against each other. Now we come together as one team to represent the
That's
U.S.
awesome.
So, so this year, the Victor's game is going to be held in the Netherlands. So we're
Oh my gosh.
looking forward to that. So
And what month is that, Carnell?
yeah, uh, the end of May to the 1st of June,
Okay.
2021.
And there's 5 events that you're training at for the Invictus Games, correct?
Right. Let me go back to it. It's only 25 selected service member out of,
Oh my
you name
gosh.
it, I don't know, 50,000
It's
athletes
crazy.
to represent
Oh
the
my,
U.S.
what an honor.
Yeah.
What a great honor. That's
I'm
terrific.
following Sarah Reuter footsteps, so
Absolutely.
she's a trailblazer. So
Yeah, for sure. And 5 events at Invictus, Carnell?
5 events. So I
Okay.
track and field. I'm doing discus. I'm running 100, 200, 400, and then a 400 by 100 relay, rowing, and powerlifting.
Okay.
So rowing, guys, is indoor rowing on the indoor rowing.
Okay. So with, well, you're training five events for Invictus. How have you been able to kind of balance that in your training, or um, where does your focus go to prepare like that for these 5 different events?
Well, you work. Well, I work on my weakness first, uh, which is running. Is at 52 years old. Who's running 100 and 200, 400? So I try to do a lot of mimicking of running. I don't know if you call it running right now, right? Fast jog right now,
Yeah.
maybe. But I try to focus on my weakness, and then as the time get closer, I start really focusing on my strength, which is powerlifting, and
Okay.
then disc. It's practice. You definitely gotta practice with the discus. So I combine that with powerlifting. Those two train together. So
Okay.
and then rowing, it's a sprint too. So I I work it, but yeah, I start with my weakness, concentrate on that, and then as the competition get closer, I tune tune in on my specialty. I call it.
Right. Okay. Um, I want to touch on nutrition with you too, Carnell. How are you, or how have you been approaching your nutrition, during this time, of staying ready this whole year, and, you're coming into, last few months before this very big competition? What do you do with nutrition?
Right. I keep my nutrition simple. Um, I don't know. I'm probably weird or something, but why are you laughing, Melissa?
Because I'm like, I feel like I'm going to be like, this is the way I eat, what you're going to say. Like, I see it coming here.
Yeah, I kind of eat the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
So when when my yeah, I don't know. Maybe you do this, but I never have to really change my
Yeah.
preparation. But I do say this: when I'm getting closer to competition, like when I'm powerlifting, maybe that second month to competition, I eat more red meat
Okay.
for my minos and my
Yep.
you know for more iron. I boost up my carb intake, um, and then I put on a couple more pounds with high protein.
Yeah.
I cut back on dairy. So for the rest of the year, I'm pretty much eating lean meat, oatmeal. I kind of eat the same breakfast every morning.
Yeah.
Oatmeal, protein shake, whatever kind of food I got in, I just throw it. It's like a
Yeah.
mix. I don't know, mix
Yeah.
of rainbow color, whatever it's in there, and then hard eggs, and then maybe um, egg white, uh, depending on what kind of eggs I feel like eating. So my macros and all that, it pretty much stay year round. And then we all got to have some type of junk food, you know. So maybe 4 months before competition, I cut back on my cheat day, uh,
Yeah.
cut back on a bag of Doritos or something on the side. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's simple. I mean, I like it. It works for me. It keeps my body weight regulated. I don't go up and down too much.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 pounds here or whatever,
Yep.
but pretty much the same. I just try to keep it simple. You know.
Yeah. I, on my end, it's very much the same too. And I laugh because I'm like, man, Carnell's going to say the same thing I would say here. Like, I eat pretty much the exact same way all year. And just day to day, it's the same food. I have the exact
Yeah,
same breakfast every single morning. That's which also serves as my pre-workout because I work out in the morning. The
right.
same intra-workout shake, the same post-workout meal, just right throughout my day. It really doesn't. It really doesn't waver too much.
Yeah,
Um, and there's definitely something comforting about that. The consistency, being able to keep the diet consistent like that. And there's just, if you can find a spot where you're not having to cut large amounts of weight or, you're not fluctuating all over the board, it certainly makes life a bit easier. Um,
right. It's part of that process of staying ready. You know,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
stay ready to be ready. Yeah.
Yep. And we've got another question for you here, Carnell. Henry asks, is there any particular foods you have a hard time staying away from?
Yes. Pizza. Thin crust pizza is my favorite, Harry. Throw chicken and all kind of vegetables on there, and you got to have the cheese and the sauce. But yeah, thin crust pizza is a hard one.
Yeah, pizza is a difficult one for sure, for sure. Carnell, the last question that I want to ask you about today is catch a lift. I want to ask you what it means to be a catch a lift coach and to coach other veteran athletes.
Wow, where do I start?
Right? That's a big weighty one.
That's an awesome question. What it means to be a coach, a catch a lift coach, and coach athletes. It means that I have a mission again. When I retired, I'm like, oh man, what I'm gonna do? Where's my mission? I can't prepare to go on deployment anymore. Um, but now I have a mission. I have a team to get ready for deployment again. I have a squad that you know that relies pretty much relies and count on me for accountability,
Yeah.
uh, accountability piece. Also, um, not only accountability piece, but having someone to turn to in a time of need that like-minded.
Yeah.
A lot of people get out and they don't have anyone to turn to. They don't have a team anymore. They don't have anyone like-minded to talk to. And knowing you just can pick up a phone and you got a, you know, you got Melissa, you got Jason, you got Sarah, you got
Yeah.
Big Dog, you got Robert, you go on
Yeah.
and on. You got Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Love you, Lynn.
Yeah.
Um, it's just amazing. And then to be able to teach back and give back the knowledge that I have to other veterans and athletes and just see them excel in life, not only in sports or competition, but in life,
Yeah.
for some competition, life is competition, and
Yeah.
some of them don't know, they were in a dark hole, their competition, they're competing to get out of that hole now,
Yeah.
to live again, to to be stress free, to be alcohol free, to be drug free, and just to give them that that shining light in that hole from my experience and my examples. Being a coach and being part of Catch and Lift is tremendous. It's given me joy and excitement every day to wake up and knowing that I'm part of Cal, part of the family, part of the community, and giving back. It's wonderful. I can't thank Cal enough. Love you guys.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty confident saying the rest of our coaching team would echo your sentiments, and I know I certainly do myself, Carnell. Wow, what an episode! I know man. I just I've got like jitters in my stomach. Like I just feel pumped up. Like I want to go train. I want to go like
Time to
compete.
go train.
Yeah, I'm starting to get shaky sitting here. I'm like, you really got me pumped up too. So, thank you so much, Carnell, for coming on and talking about this with us today. Absolutely phenomenal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it for yes, absolutely. That's it for this week's episode of Coach's Corner. Thank you again, Carnell, for sharing your knowledge and your light with us. It means so much to all of us. Thank you, ID Technology, for your continued support of Catch a Lift. Thank you to ClearBridge for your support of Catch a Lift. Thank you, Lynn Coughlin, Henry Pomper, Kaylee Nasiri, and the entire Cal team for making this podcast possible and continuing to push it out week after week. We will return January 6th, 2021 with a new episode. And all of us at Catch a Lift wish you a blessed holiday season. Until next week, keep it, well, actually, I take that back. Until January 6th when we see you all again live. Keep it real and stay Cal strong.